Hello and welcome everyone to episode 88 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, and many, many more. And honestly, just kind of ready to pick up where we left off because I feel like we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, we definitely do, because this is the type of set of chapters where you finish off some of them and you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exhausting with just how relentless it feels compared to so many other flashbacks.
Yeah.
Oda is like, I'm going to make you feel things, damn it.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, and that's good storytelling, right? Is like, you put the reader in like the lowest of the lows so that like when you bring him back up, it feels satisfying.
Yeah. And he's very good at that. So,
yep.
Whew, well, let's get to it with chapter 396, Saul. And Miss Golden Week, rather than just outright escaping, heading to a Navy prison.
Yeah,
which is very interesting there. So, we'll
be seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of intrigue with all this lately. Like, my God, this has to be the best.
Yeah, it's absolutely my favorite so far. It's going places.
Mm-hmm, for sure. But yeah, we turn to Robin's flashback. And the Buster Call has commenced, and the town is getting bombarded. The people evacuating are still getting bombarded that haven't made it to the evacuation ship. The tree itself is getting bombarded, and basically you even get this narration by the 5 elders, where it's like the research carried out by the archaeologist of Ohara is far more extensive than we anticipated. Knowledge propagates. We cannot let it spread beyond the island. Obliterate all the demons of Ohara in the name of justice. And it's like, you sons of...
Yeah, and then you see Spandine here just kind of like, like, hey, we're not off the island yet. Like, they're trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, that's the Buster Call. Like,
yeah, and that's what even Spandam doesn't understand, because with him, before threatening, like, I'm going to hit the button. Are you scared?
Right, yeah.
Not realizing that they're going to attack your island, you dummy.
Yeah, exactly. So now, because we were just talking about that last time, where it was like, wait, well, hey, a full-out assault's a full-out assault, and here we're seeing it. So there we go. Getting a taste of their own medicine, and I think it's truly just, it goes to show kind of just how brutal it all is. Just like they will not leave a single soul alive. Although. My biggest surprise of this chapter was Dr. Clover, Professor Clover, is still alive.
I mean, it takes more than a gunshot to kill people in this anime, this manga.
Yeah, that's true. I just, there was something so, like, and not to say that I'm disappointed, because, I mean...
Yeah, it did feel, like, final with the angle.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because it was like... it was like, he had gotten really close to the truth, and he was going on about this big speech, and then it was like, all right, shut it down. Blam! And then I was like, okay, he lived. I mean, not for much longer, but...
Yeah, it's... And it doesn't add a ton other than some direction to go for it, but it's still... I don't think it's a big deal that he survived for that.
Not really, yeah. It was just... Yeah, it was more of that, like, oh, man, that, like... I think the finality of it is reduced a little bit of that, just like that gunshot, because that moment is so hardcore where you're just like, all right, shut it down.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, but
and we get to see the continued cowardice of the Span family. I guess to go with that, where he's like, I mean, they're supposed to start at the same beginnings. I'm like, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
And let's see, if she's really an archaeologist, I don't know if that's true or not, but when you're not sure about something, just eliminate it. So commit her to face to memory. Do not let her off the island. But we're getting out of here. Do we bring Alvia? No, I need to survive instead. Screw the orders. I need to survive.
Yeah.
So let's get out of here. So Alvia is left behind. So we don't even know why they wanted her in the first place. They just...
Right. Because at this point, they're just like, all right, like, my life is more important. So, yeah, it's cowardly.
Cowardly, but also, like, it allows for, like... the sweetest hellish moment ever, where just Robin goes up, takes her mother's hand, and they just cry in each other's arms, hugging each other. It's like, oh my God.
And that little like vision of like, I think like seeing like the silhouette of like her aunt and uncle, like, you know, like holding their daughter hand in hand, and just like, she's always wanted to do this. She's always wanted to hold her parents' hand. That's all she's wanted.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. And the fact that like Clover is like, I had no idea that you could actually read the poneglyph. And I'm sure part of him is like, man, if we had just involved her, we could have actually figured out even more.
Gotten the truth out.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing here with all this. We don't know how she learned to read it. Whether it's like...
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, I wonder.
Is it innate that she somehow figured out because she's so young and a bit of a genius? We don't know.
I think that's the safe assumption, is that like she's just really smart and read up on it. But God, there's so much that kind of goes unsaid here about like what happens when, you know, you kind of just like torch thousands of years of like human history. So I just like that there's this thought that goes in my brain that's just like, there's so many things that would never even be touched on in the story that just are like getting lost here.
Yeah, absolutely. And God, just the little bit of praise is like, you did your best, you studied hard. That's not something anyone can do. That's wonderful. And just seeing her break down, you feel for Robin so much. And Clover says like, okay, you got to get out of here. Olvia, take Robin and escape. If you sneak her on the evacuation ship, you could probably leave the island. And that's when Saul shows up. It's like, all right, you reunited with Olvia. Good job. And then, of course, Olvia recognizes Saul, and she's like, why are you here? Well, I was shipwrecked, and it's basically karma that I'm stuck here because Robin saved me. And that's when Olvia decides, like, okay, I need you to take care of my daughter. Make sure she escapes from the island. Aren't you coming? No, I still have things to do here. And Robin's immediately like,
the self-sacrifice.
No,
but we just met.
I just got you back, and you're leaving already. It's like, no, don't do this. But she also imparts, well, knowledge to her. It's like, you're a scholar. You should know history is humanity's greatest asset. It will enlighten the future that lies ahead for all of us. Knowledge of the past must be passed on to the next generation, or it will disappear. We weren't trying to expose history. We just wanted to retrieve and protect the voices of the past. So our research will end here. But even if Ohara perishes, we cannot give up on the future of the world. And obviously Robin doesn't understand, but those words stuck with her.
This speech reminds me a lot, actually, of the stuff with in Jaya.
Yeah. Very
a lot of about, like, you know, I feel like there's a theme here of like kind of preserving like the message of humanity into the future, and kind of like inheriting the will.
It's also one of those things where you just see the amount of long game that Oda has played. Essentially 200 chapters of setup and just little hints and clues to who Robin really is, what informs her, what is her history, and just getting more and more of it unlocked until we get to this backstory that really shows like why she's an archaeologist, why she wants to see the poneglyphs, why she wants to uncover the history. It all comes back to this the people she came from, and seeing, well, them all die essentially because
basically
they're sacrificing themselves to preserve as much knowledge as possible.
And it's like, I guess, like the weight of sort of like this great mission that is now kind of imparted onto her because Robin is the only person who can do this, basically.
Yeah. And so Robin, of course, wants to stay. Saul takes her away. Alvia's just happy that she called her mother, tells her to live. Everybody's crying. And that's when Vice Admiral Cruzon is informed that somebody has spotted the deserter, Vice Admiral Saul.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I did too.
Yeah, I hadn't completely forgotten that we sort of we get a flashback and a flashback here where he's basically like, he learns the truth, or not like the truth, but like he starts questioning his sense of justice, which I think is a really important thing.
Yes, he was part of the attack on Olvia's keep the ones that were researching all this. And it's like, I said, don't kill him, capture them, but they were resisting. We're not pirates. You can't control them. We've captured so many ships researching history. I don't understand why these must die. And he's like, just so upset that like you killed all of them except one. And he asks her flat out, do you really desire the weapons? And Olvia basically berates him.
Yeah.
You're just afraid of a past that you know nothing about. And then he's informed about a secret mission, about how there's going to be a buster call, 10 warships with 5 vice admirals in command. I want you to be one of them. And here's the interesting part. The one telling him all this that he wants to be part of is Sengoku.
Yeah.
Which always seemed like, when you first meet him, he seems relatively okay. Maybe you don't get much of an impression on him, but the fact that he's ordering, like, okay with the buster call and takes the words that Saul tosses at him is like, all they want to do is study history. If it's so dangerous, why can't the government offer to work with them? So I'll be the one killing these people at the site. So give me proof that they are evil. And all Sengoku says is like, you're doubting the government? Just obey orders. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, One Piece has war crimes now.
Oh yeah, we do. And the guy who's leading the fleet admiral is the one leading all of this. It's like, oh geez.
Yeah. And so I feel like this is the most we've seen of like a character in the Marines just like actively like no, what we're doing is wrong here. Tell me why this is the right thing to do. And I think like we've seen this in bits and pieces. Like I think about Smoker and sort of his relationship with authority and kind of like, with the whole like cover up for Alabasta, and he was basically just kind of like, all right, tell him to stuff it.
Yeah.
We're sort of getting the explorations, I think, of like what justice means to all of these characters.
And it gives you a good sense of who are kind of the good guys and who are kind of the bad guys. It's like, you never hate Smoker, but you see this sort of stuff with Sengoku and it's like, oh, I do not like this guy anymore. There is like nothing there. And it just also like makes you wonder just how powerful he is. Yeah.
This is maybe sort of in broad terms. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here, but that really is kind of the big takeaway with me with the world of One Piece is that it feels like such a, like it feels like a critique of like large power structures. Of structures of authority. And you have all these characters like kind of questioning like, no, why am I following this authority? Like what does this actually mean to me?
Mm-hmm. What is justice to me?
Yeah.
And some are just it's pure authority and what the government orders. They're just willing to go along. Others are a bit more thoughtful for themselves.
And I like that, you sort of see it here. Like Saul, has a kind of a off-screen conversation with Olvia and, suddenly just like, oh, he's, taken air and escaped, and so it was just once he hears out the other side, he kind of like, he knows for himself what he has to do.
Yeah. And so he's able to he's the reason Olvia was able to get away. It's the reason she arrived on a Marine ship. And, because of the attack, that's why he washed up on shore. So it all ties in, and now he is just running from the buster call, the thing he was aware of, and just constantly like giving affirmations to Robin as he's running along. It's like, be proud, your mother is noble, Ohara is noble. You must one day take on the duty of telling this island's history because Ohara fought against the world. And he takes a cannonball to the face.
Yeah. That's Giants, man. They're built different.
Yeah. And some are like, oh, I'm sorry about the direct hit. Saul is like, he's an evil conspirator now. So it's like,
yeah, I do find it funny that they're a little guilty. They're like, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like taking a cannonball to the face has no concern for himself and is just like, what if that hurt Robin? And then just goes like, I completely forgot about this. Or he just walks up to the ship and is just like, all right, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Just like suplexes it, basically. Picks it up.
Yep. Just takes care of that ship. And what a way. You just feel it. Like just in that moment, it's like, oh my God.
there's that thought too about how Saul was just like, oh, don't let me in with those other giants, and then here he is just like, all right, I can still throw hands though.
Oh yeah, I'm still strong, but I don't seek battle. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. 397 in hopes.
That was a long one.
Yes, it was. I feel like these last few are going to be pretty long. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
In hopes of reaching the future. Pretending to be captured to infiltrate the prison. How interesting. And I love how they can just see the little betrayal black still on that guy. And it's like,
oh, hot. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, because at first I'm like, wait, is that Mr. 2 that he got away? But no, I saw the betrayal black. I'm like, that's how they're making this work. So that's interesting. And we just get the continuation of Saul wrecking these battleships single-handedly.
That panel of him like throwing it down is so awesome.
And you can see that's like there's multiple ships on top of that, like three or four. The men are panicking. It's like he's attacking us. What's going on? And all the while, one, Robin's forced to watch her friend do this. Two, we're seeing in the midst of the fire and everything exploding, all the scholars, like, we save the books. We must preserve history. We cannot let them be burned. So just throw them out the window into the lake. It's better than losing them. So all these books keep going, get tossed into the lake. And, we can see Alvia there, Clover's there. They're all just spending their last moments trying to save history. And it's like, oh, God, that hits.
Yeah. And then like there's that just like that thought of like Ovia's in there, as well, trying to preserve the books, and like you just like Robin is just sitting and watching that tree get bombarded.
It's getting bombarded. Saul's getting bombarded, and he's basically trying to act as a distraction. It's like, hey, you need to get to the evacuation ship now, because if you stay, you won't be saved. And like more of the attacks start happening. You can see the destruction of the town. No wonder this girl is completely paralyzed by the idea of a buster call.
Yes.
That she gave up and did not want her friends. Like, this, it destroyed an entire island. What does a crew of 6 or 7 stand against it on a tiny ship that's barely sailing?
It all makes sense. Like that. Now that you're seeing, and I think it's important too now establishing just like the horrors of what a buster call is. And
these are the stakes.
And you're understanding where she's coming from in all of this.
Yeah. And the killer of all of it is that she finally gets the motivation to run and live, because that was her mother's wish. And as soon as she gets to it, just the kids, the people, it's the monster. It's, she's the daughter of that criminal. If we let her aboard the ship, that might come to attack too. Some are like, hey, she's just a kid, let her on board. And she's like, I'll throw you rope. And then she tries to use her powers to get up there, and it just freaks out everybody.
Freaks them all out.
And they just kick her off. And then there's Spandine. This is basically just like, she's just a kid, but she is an archaeologist and the target of this attack. Do not let her get aboard.
Wow.
So it's just like, it lets the people know, and they force her away, and the evacuation ship, and Saul knows it's like, CP9 doing all this.
Yeah.
It's
that's like dirty.
Yeah. And he goes for it. He's like, he's ready to take down Spandine. And that's when Kuzan shows up. It's like, damn it. The ice block partisan getting Saul from behind. And that's where he's like, yeah, if the buster call was stopped by a former Navy member, how bad would that look? And that's
all about the looks, huh?
Yep, that's all that matters here. And just get this conversation between the two of them. It's like, are you proud of this assault, Kuzan? You know this isn't right. It's just being use an example. And all he has to say is like, if it's good for the world hereafter, so be it. The reality is that the scholars did break the law, but justice changes shapes depending on one's standpoint. That's why I won't criticize your idea of justice, but I can't let you interfere with the work.
That's also Kuzan's got some interesting lines here. Again, for folks who are caught up, I think this rings a little bit different.
It comes across as like, there's a reason he's sleepy. He's extremely passive about this stuff. He'll do stuff eventually to maintain a sense of justice.
But lazy justice.
But yeah, it's his part of his lazy justice, where he's like, I can only let so much happen.
Yeah.
And even Kuzan, is affected by this because Vice Admiral Sakazuki, who I don't believe we've met at all, destroys the evacuation ship.
Yeah, which I was really shocked actually that this was just like you don't see his face, but this is his first like on-screen appearance.
Yeah, I saw this guy, like, oh, I know who this is. Yeah, it actually even says that later to become Admiral Akainu.
Yeah, because I think that we mentioned before that like that there were 3 admirals, right?
Yes,
I think we got that introduced at least.
Yes.
So like I think they named all of them, but we had only seen Aokiji for a little while. So yeah.
They're always called Aokiji, Akainu, and I forget the last one, but they're always that. So whoever becomes those admirals.
Yeah, and so I think the thing that's really interesting to me is, like, because, Sakazuki blows up the ship, blows up the evacuation ship. And then, of course, like, Saul's like, how can that be justice? How can you still hold your head high? And then, like, it's very funny to me that, like, all Kuzan says, like, I wouldn't go that far. Like, as if you're not complicit.
Yeah. It's like I wouldn't bomb the evacuees, but I'd still, like, get the people, like, just get the island itself and the history. But he's, like... there is a limit here. It doesn't feel like it matches his sense of justice, but it does actually, where he doesn't, if they're innocent, he doesn't want any harm to come to them. But because of the history has been deemed unjust and the scholars have been deemed unjust, he's okay with them getting punished. But this evacuee ship with ostensibly are innocent people, he's not willing to go that far. But Sakazuki, it has to be all of its roots. We have to take away all of it, because even if there's somebody that snuck aboard, which is possible, they have to be killed too. Just guilty by approximation. And it's
when did One Piece get so gray morality?
I know.
we're seeing it, like, I mean, it's always been there, but like we are seeing it now. Like there's so much of just like the Marine folks, just like even though they are, kind of committing atrocities right now. It's like, well, everybody kind of has their own take on it, and I think it is so fascinating to be seeing it kind of play out here. Like they are not just like one entity, and that like everybody kind of has like their own little spin on their philosophy.
Yeah, and between the 3 vice admirals, you get to see it in play. And poor Saul, he can't stand up to an ice man.
Yeah.
And, it's like, run, Robin, as hard as you can. You'll end up dead no matter what if you stay on the island. Take my raft, go out to sea. I'm cornered. I'm done. You have to go. And that's when we get the key words. I know. Like, you're all alone right now, but someday, without a doubt, you will meet friends. The sea is vast, and someday for sure you'll find friends who will protect you. No one is ever born into this world completely alone. So run, don't look back, and laugh with the Dareshi. And it's just, she calls out to him, and he's doing his Dareshi, saying, go find your friends, as he's frozen solid, so with this kind of a smile on his face. And it's just like, damn it, One Piece.
Of course, only One Piece could make something so silly, like a complete gibberish word, and that's like that guy's laugh. And you're like, oh, that's weird, and then you're just like, oh no,
I know. Oh. And the tree of knowledge falls over, and you see the scholars pass. Clover just saying that man is so callow, and Alvia is just regretting the fact that she couldn't leave any words befitting of a mother speaking to her daughter as she dies. And Robin gets to the edge where the raft is. Mm-hmm. And there's Aokiji as well. Yeah, and Kuzan.
Here's his justice, which I find like this clearly is because I think whatever Saul did had an effect on him, and whatever seeing what Sakazuki did had had an effect on him.
Yeah, it absolutely did, and just he's like, all right, this seed that Saul protected, I wonder what she'll be. So you can begrudge whoever you wish, but be grateful that you have a life and live like a recluse from this point on. The lines of this ice in the sea will take you to the next island. So just go straight. You'll make landfall. But I'm not an ally. If you attempt anything, I will be the foe who comes after you first. And boy, did that come back with no wonder she was terrified when. Yeah.
Now seeing when Aokiji showed up, after, right before Water 7, and it's just like, oh, all right. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah.
you see where she was coming from.
And she gets the flashback of all the words that everybody's said to her. And as she's rowing away from this burning island, she's attempting to do the Reshi.
But just cries.
It just cries.
She's 8, man.
She's 8 and watching the entire island engulfed in flame. Her home, the people she loved. And it's just like, damn.
Oh, man. Yeah. Damn.
It is, obviously, I don't know how many backstories we have coming up, but this has to be one of the roughest backstories.
I think it's still my favorite. I think it's still my favorite one. There are a lot of really good ones coming up. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But my God, that effect.
Yeah, that seeing the flashback's not quite over yet, but seeing that shot of her just like crying, like as she's boating away, like stuck between two pieces of ice and the island is burning behind her. Like, oh man.
Yeah. Whew. All right. Chapter 398, Declaration of War. And, hey, we got the strongest suspects where we see Mr. 1, Mr. 4, and Crocodile in prison.
Yeah.
They might be chained up, but they still beat the hell out of the other prisoners, so.
I like that Crocodile still has his hook.
Yeah, who left him?
Or he somehow got it back.
Or somehow, who left this man his hook? That's a bad idea.
Is there still poison in there? Because that's a bad idea.
No.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And we start the chapter itself, and they're basically looking for any survivors, and they discover that all the books, hundreds of books in the lake bed. It's amazing. Like, you can see all the little dots in the lake bed. It's mostly books in there anymore.
That's wild. That's a lot of books.
Yeah. It's amazing to be able to see the results, and who knows what they did with that information.
Yeah, I was going to ask the exact same question. I don't know what they did with all this. I think that the world government is, they'll probably just burn it all or whatever. But
either they'll confiscate it or they'll just let it in there to rot. It's hard to say for sure. Somebody got a picture of Robin making landfall, getting on a passenger ship, and losing sight of her, but Spandine recognizes her, and basically she got away, and Kuzan's like, damn it, she got spotted. You could definitely see that.
Yeah, well, that and it's like the Spandine's like, I tried to go after her, but my rudder, it was like it was frozen, and it's like,
what about that's? I'm sure Saul helped.
Is there anybody with ice powers around here?
That's weird. But a scholar with the ability to read poneglyphs is dangerous, regardless of how young she is. She must be captured without delay, or this mission is meaningless. So that's how she gets the 79 million berry bounty as an 8-year-old. And they basically inflated what she actually did, because she's the survivor of the demons of Ohara who conspired to destroy the world. And somehow, as an 8-year-old, sunk 6 Navy warships, when we now know that wasn't her. That was Saul.
Yeah. Oh, man, taking the blame for that.
Yeah. Because they can't say this girl reads poneglyphs. It's just like she's dangerous.
Right. Exactly. That's all they need to know. Although in the broader context of the series, I think for what they want, 79's pretty low, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe it is because she's 8. But I mean, I say that, but it's also still the second highest among the Straw Hats, isn't it?
Yes, I think she is still above
second or third.
Zoro. Yeah.
So that would mean that she's had that bounty the whole time, which is also
amazing that she's eluded capture this time, because we see her life, what her life was like, where she
this part's real sad, man.
It is devastating, where it's like she's helping a nice old lady, she turns her in, she stays out with these other people to be that seem to be nice. She hears her talking, and it's like, oh, this bounty's pretty tempting, and they run off into the night, starts teaming up with pirates, and that pirate, of course, gets captured, and just it's her fault, and just all this constant of being like, your sin is being alive, and she's still searching for these poneglyphs. And God, it's something about her saying, I'm 16, I'll do anything, please let me join your organization. That has some connotations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh boy. Certainly some uncomfortable connotations, but I think
I think
knowing
it's
the situation that she's in.
Yeah.
I think it's just vague enough to take it either way.
Yeah.
Just knowing, basically living in the underworld for like her entire
8 years at that point. And then another how long? Because it seems like she joined up with Crocodile maybe around 18 or so.
Yeah. And the thing for me, God, maybe even later than that. But like this definitely goes back to what Aokiji said to Luffy, where it's just like every organization she's aligned herself with fallen. Like every single one.
Well, the reason for that is that either they betray her and try to get her bounty, or the government shows up and wants her bounty. That bounty has been just the curse of it all.
And I definitely think like this is, again, it's a lot more implied, but you can read between the lines of like, this is what it would be like to like try to survive in this world with a, like an almost 80 million bounty on your head as a child. Like, and that does stuff to a person.
Oh, inevitably. So it's hard to say whether this whole story was that was conveyed to everybody here, because all we get as conversation is her basically saying the Buster Call right here and now, and not only in this lobby, but all of you will be blown away too. And Spandam's just like, no, they wouldn't attack and kill their own comrades. What are you saying? It's like,
yeah. Were you listening to the part about your dad?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not sure how much she actually said about all this, because they act like they kind of heard the backstory. But basically she's like, that attack is aimed directly at you, the friends who I've finally found at long last. And the more I wish to stay with you, the greater your risk is. So this unshakable foe will continue pursue me, and that foe is the world and its darkness, the darkness of the world. So I've involved you twice. I can't do it. I will become too much of a burden, and and maybe even someday you'll betray me and cast me aside. So that's why I didn't want you to come rescue me.
And
I think that's all they actually heard. I don't know if they know her full backstory. I think they just know that bit. It's like all that betrayal, all those reasons for why the government's after her.
When you see it all laid out like that, like you see like why it's so difficult for her to trust anybody, and why she can't let herself open up, and like this is what it took, and now that she's finally found people in the world who care about her, like she doesn't want anything to happen to them.
Yeah. And God, I'm tearing up at this moment already. Just getting ready for it.
Yeah, get ready.
Because Spandam is basically like, yes, the world. Look at that symbol. It represents the unity of more than 170 nations allied across the 4 seas and the Grand Line. It represents the world. Your resistance is frivolous against the sheer power of that organization. And all Luffy says is, I get who Robin's enemy is. Sniper King. Shoot down that flag. And I love that it's Usopp that does this. No hesitation, gets to show off his new Kabuto weapon with a Firebird star, which is awesome as hell. And they set fire to the flag. Luffy declares war on the government.
Yep. Did they realize what an attack on this flag means? And and as Spandam puts it, like, do you really think you can survive now that the entire world is your enemy?
Bring it
Luffy
on.
Just bring it on, just screaming at the top of his lungs, and seeing the flag burn, seeing Robin just like tear up at like the lengths to which that they are willing to go, because God damn it, she's her friend. She's like,
she's their friend. That's all that matters to Luffy, and they want her back, and they will protect her no matter what.
We will take on the world for you. That is what that is.
Yes. I think we've seen it before, of course, but this, more than anything else, shows that resolve that people always talk about with Luffy. You become Luffy's friend, he will topple governments to protect you.
Yes.
And they were already in trouble before just attacking Enies Lobby. This is a full declaration. This is intense.
That is the big moment. Yeah, that is. Again, I think I talked about this last time, where it was just like, this is the part where the scale really starts to open up, and you start to see kind of how the wider world works. And now our first entry into that is Luffy and the gang basically like middle fingers up to the world government. Like, we're going to get our friend back. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
We don't care.
And all he wants to hear is that Robin wants to live. And she's just all the memories of like, you can't live in this world. Your existence is a crime. saying she just wanted to die, and then Saul's words, and then even Usopp's word was having faith in Luffy.
And that she didn't know that she could wish to live.
Yeah.
And that nobody ever let her wish that, and that she's always been, like, you don't have to, being told that you don't deserve to live.
And then to finally have all that laid out, and then she finally breaks down. I want to live. Take me to sea with you. And this even convinces Frankie. He's like, I like you guys, darn it.
Yeah, I kind of forgot Frankie was here.
I know, right?
So I needed that little bit of levity of just like, oh yeah.
And that's all Luffy needs to see here is like that grin afterwards. It's like, all right, hell yeah. And I like the fact that we don't waste any time seeing them defeat those aspects on the with the drawbridge, and the drawbridge starts being lowered. And that's all we need to know is like, while that flashback was happening, they were taking care of business down there.
Yep.
And Spandam's freaking out. I was like, don't let them come up here. He does not want that.
Although Rob Lucci looks like he's ready for a fight. He's excited.
Oh, he is down for this. He's like, oh, hell yes. And I mean, Zoro's ready for a fight too.
Yeah.
He's like, your face is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we feel it like, oh, we're all like, oh, hell yes. We are ready to just avenge this woman.
Let's do it. Like that. God, I mean, cause this is basically like, this is Robin's like the moment in Arlong Park where, Nami finally breaks down and asks for help.
Yes.
And now, like,
just on a much grander scale.
After everything, God, like, what, like 80 chapters?
Yeah, I mean, 80 chapters of Water 7, 200 chapters of mystery, just having it all laid out there, seeing what her true intentions are. It's once a relief, and also it's like just this call to action. You're ready to see these guys get beat down.
Yep.
Because of what CP9 represents at this point.
It definitely, God, this is, I mean, this episode's already going long already, but like, I feel like this is really the moment where seeing kind of the wider One Piece world, and just like, there's so much to dissect in terms of like how gray the morality truly is. And God, this is the stuff I really love, and finally getting those emotional hooks. Yeah, it's great. It's God. This one was a long time coming. This chapter specifically was a long time coming.
It is. I remember the first time reading this, watching this. I forget what shit at this point. Seeing that and being like, oh hell yes! I was fist pumping. I'm like, hell yeah, Luffy. I was just totally into it. We do have an SBS, kind of an important one too. Like this is, it really shows that the live action really did take from as much as possible, because the sea in here includes everything: rivers, pools, baths, everything that holds a pool of water. In terms of the earth, everything is a sea. So when one with powers to enter such places, their powers don't work as well as expected. They can struggle to use them, but it doesn't do much. And that's if their entire bodies are submerged in the sea. If it's just half their bodies, their arms and legs, the effect is lessened. Water washes off like rain. The water that washes off like rain has no effect at all. So usually they'll just submerge halfway or take showers to get clean, because that's where it all stemmed from. Because of Crocodile being a Sandman. So they do take that, I guess, risk to put them to be in danger in order to get clean.
Yeah, and it's an extra risk for Crocodile, because his powers just don't work when he's wet at all. So
yeah, because we saw with Luffy, he's able to get his the water on himself, on his fist, in order to punch Crocodile. And that's an example. It's not a pool of water. So if it's any kind of bath, that's a problem. But if it's a shower or just sort of getting wet a little bit, it doesn't affect you in the same way.
Yeah, it's kind of like how, because we've seen it before where devil fruit users are completely submerged in the ocean and they sink. But if because there's that bit in Alabasta when they're in the casino and it starts flooding, and Luffy he just sort of goes limp, because it was just his legs were partially submerged. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense.
It does. All right, chapter 399, Jump Toward the Waterfall. And hey, we get to see the ladies of Baroque Works. The old woman not seen in a long time, and the young lady I'm meeting for the first time. And there's something oddly innocent about the faces of Miss Golden Week and Miss Valentine.
They're They're just hanging out.
They're just there, and these other women getting bashed in the wall. Like, my God.
Yeah, see, you really get the sense that the Baroque works folks have instantly become like the top dogs.
Oh, without a doubt. And yeah, we just sort of get it's basically a showdown. It's like a reminder. Is like the drawbridge is being lowered. You think you can survive against the world government? Bring it on. We'll save you for sure. Everybody's ready to go. Like, action pose for all of them. Looks fantastic. And of course, action pose for CP9, except for Spandam.
Yeah, he's like, oh God, don't come.
Meanwhile, Kaku's like, no one could beat us. Oh man, it's good stuff. But we get the reasoning behind it. We get the plaza where the giants are still holding things off. Mozu and joined up by Lulu were able to work together, take out those weird guys on that, and pulled the lever. Kiwi and Tilestone worked together and took out the other one so they can get that lever. And now it's just down to the Baskerville as Paulie and I forget the head one's name is, but they attack together against Baskerville and cut him in three. And it turns out they're not actually a three-headed man. They're just three guys that hang out together, like one in the middle with two very big legs.
We're just close.
Yeah.
I actually forgot that was the twist on the joke. I genuinely thought that he was a
I did too.
Man. So you got me, Oda.
I mean,
you
look
got
at those
me.
body proportions. Two guys with tiny legs and huge arms, and one guy with tiny arms and huge legs.
They've got one arm each. That's so
it's
funny.
Like, okay, this is the best part of their joke.
Yeah, that's the funniest that this bit has ever been. So I'm happy. I'm happy for the twist.
But they're also kind of the most effective because they fire the mortar and stop the drawbridge from lowering the full way. And he's basically the Baskerville saying, "Get out of the Tower of Law," and then he's like, "All right, I gotta go get to the gates of justice before they cross. Robin, you're coming with me, and somebody grab Frankie. We're going."
Yeah, as a proper supervillain, escaping at his first chance.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And then we get. Oh, I forgot about this moment. This is fantastic.
Yeah. God. As much as I kind of forgot Frankie was here, I'm so glad he's here. You're just like, you forget, like, oh man, God, he's so good.
Basically, Spandam's taking the opportunity. He's like, I have a slight advantage. Time to gloat. I'm not going to let such immense power slip away from me. So somebody grab Cutty Flam. I got Robin. I'm all set. And then Frankie reveals the actual Pluton blueprints that was hidden in his body.
He has it
the entire time.
Which it makes sense. He's mechanical, so sure.
And they're like, it's real, isn't it? You can tell it is absolutely real. And he's like,
yeah, he flips through it for him like a little story.
And Spanner's like, hand it over. The blueprint of my dreams is like, Robin. And this is Frankie saying, Robin, I know you're not a demon now, with plans to make evil use of the weapon, as rumor had it. This thing was passed down through the generations of the Water 7 shipwrights isn't just the blueprint to make a weapon. And he's like, basically, the only reason we kept it around is because of the fear of you and the fact that we needed to have some sort of countermeasure in case this dangerous woman brought back the ancient weapon. But after seeing your story and knowing that how you are and have friends to protect you, I'm going to make a wager. If I'm to fulfill the architect's wish in this situation, there's only one thing to do, and he burns it. I don't need to fear you.
Torches it. Yeah. Yeah. God, Frankie, he doesn't give a crap at this point. Yeah, he's just like, nah, man. and he makes a good point. Like the fact that the government were able to find it in the first place, it was supposed to be a secret. So it's got to go. It's got to be destroyed. If you know that it exists, it has already outlived its usefulness.
Yep. And the fact that she's not a threat and you guys are, this thing's got to go. And I love this. The power of the counter of the weapon is gone. So if Nico Robin falls in your hands, we're doomed. And if the Straw Hats win, you'll have nothing left. I'm going to bet on them winning. And then
God, Frankie's such a goat, man. He's so good.
I love Frankie so much. He is I kind of forgot just how amazing he was throughout this arc.
Yeah, and then after all of that, he gets to reunite with his family.
Yeah, the Frankie family shows up, and he's like, it did come to my rescue. It's like, all good.
Right, yeah, because he was telling Robin, he was like, man, wow, your friends came to save you.
I'm not crying and all that, and it's like, And Luffy's like, shut up, Robin is waiting, lower the drawbridge. He's not usually that callous, but it's like, no.
Yeah, I laughed at that. It's just like, all right, shut up.
Frankie calls out to Luffy. It's like, seems my men were beholden to you. This time their boss, Frankie, here will show you super military strength. And he's like, I'm still mad at you for chasing away Usopp. He's like, don't you know that he's next to you?
Yeah.
And then Spandam does to Frankie what I wanted Robin to do to Spandam and pushes him off into the abyss. And that's when all of a sudden Kokoro over the radio says, I heard everything. What are you waiting around for? Well, the bridge is only halfway down. It's like, halfway's plenty. I'll be there in 4 seconds.
I'll be there in 4 seconds.
Jump toward the waterfall. It's like, I don't know, but she's telling us to jump toward the waterfall.
And then you see the shot of Rocket Man crashing through the courthouse.
Yes. As Luffy, of course, grabs everybody at the same time as they all kind of panic. And it's like, Rocket Man's still chugging. Never underestimate the legendary shipbuilding company. And I'm curious about this, where Frankie's like, Rocket Man? I'm like, did he build Rocket Man?
I think he would at least like know that it's there, because or at least that's my read on it, is that he's like, what's that doing here?
To me, I'm like, I almost wonder if he's the one who built it, but that's hard to say.
Yeah, I could believe that at least.
And that we end with Rocket Man launching across, saving Frankie, and coming towards Spandam and the tower.
I completely forgot, like, because this is all like relatively minor in the grand scheme of things, but like, of course, they couldn't just get to the other side in a normal way. So like, he has to come up with like the most hype way for them to get
and
across.
A way to bring Kokoro back into the scene all of a sudden.
Yeah, because she was just hanging out, like watching all the action from the sidelines. It's like, all right. And so, God, coming in right at the nick of time.
All right. Chapter 400, The Key to Freedom.
400, baby.
We hit it. We hit the big 400. This is major. But I'm also not sure how I feel about this one, about the Baroque Works actually reuniting. It's been interesting, but it's like, I don't know how I feel about these guys actually going free.
I don't know where this is going.
No, I have no idea either. Because on one hand, it's like, oh, that's neat. On the other hand, it's like, these guys suck. Some of them are cute and whatnot, the lower numbers, but yeah, they did some awful things. I don't know how I feel about them going free.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet this cover story keeps me on my toes, because I feel like I know where things have to end up to some extent. So it's like, all right, where is this going to like connect with that?
Good question. I honestly have no clue on that.
Yeah, me neither.
But we pick up. Kokoro's laughing like crazy as she launches across, and
I really love like this kind of retrospective that she has while she's flying in Rocket Man in midair.
Yep, it's just like it brings back memory, doesn't it, Tom? Where he's announcing how he's proud to help the man that known as Roger, and how Luffy was also saying he's going to be king of the pirates, and he's like, that Roger was such a fool, just like Luffy in a way. So that's why you helped him. And it looks like we didn't learn our lesson, since the whole lot of Tom's workers are helping this pirate kid. And it's like, you would have done the same thing.
Yeah, which it's heartwarming, and then you see Rocket Man crash into the building, and it's hilarious. But
the tooth chips off and all that, and gets Spandam again, freaking out. It's like, oh God, they're here. All right, Robin, you're coming. It just reminds me kind of like the Joker in the original Batman '89 movie, where he's just constantly running off and like, okay, you people hand this, delay Batman, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, it feels very much like that.
And Robin just wishing she could take off the Sea Prism Stones and actually get away and do something. He wants Lucci to stay with Spandam. The others have permission to go take care of the others. No matter what happens, you are to protect me above all else. And here's we get the thing that I completely forgot about. Funkfried turns out to be a devil fruit user. And not an elephant that ate the sword fruit, but another one of these weapons that ate an animal fruit. So a sword that ate the elephant fruit. What the hell?
That's a thing.
Yep. However they did this, I am curious. That's for sure.
One of those like weird, goofy things about the One Piece's world. It's just like, don't worry about that for right now. Like they don't really address it. They don't really like what? How did that? So.
So as again, going back and forth between confident and scared out of his mind. Spandam's like, all right, just try to get her back, Straw Hats. And the Frankie family is celebrating that Frankie's out of his change and Frankie's okay, and they made it across. And they're all worried about Kokoro. And they find out that all the Kokoro and their granddaughter only got bloody noses. It's like, that's ridiculous.
It's funny that Frankie's the one here who's just kind of like, what are you? Where he's like,
and I love how it's not just Luffy that gets out. It's like, it's because you're made of rubber. It's like, no, all of them burst out. It's like, we bounce right back. Everyone's okay.
Yeah, they're fine. That's One Piece.
Yep. All right, let's go save Robin. And that's when Fukuro shows up.
Yeah,
as against the wall. Weirdly enough, it's very odd.
Why is he there?
I don't know.
It's gross. I don't like him.
No, he's very weird, and he's the one that kind of breaks down our. We can't have it just be a normal set of one-on-one fights. No.
Of course.
We got to have a gimmick, because hey, CP9 has orders to kill you all and not let you get to Robin. So unless you beat all of us, there's no way you can rescue her. So take a look at this key. Robin has been has been cuffed with Sea Prism Stone, which is unbreakable. So you'll never be able to remove them. So if you want to save her, you got to get with these keys. But I never said that the key I have is the real key. All of us have a key. So you have to defeat all of us in order to be sure that you could save Robin. And there's our sort of setup for we have to actually fight all these guys.
Kind of a silly gimmick, but it works.
It's like when they have the time to set all this up, but
right, okay, where they're kind of like, okay, so you take that key,
and the funny thing is that, damn it, Oda set this up as well, because Fukuro, of course, it's Fukuro telling them this. He's the loudmouth.
Yeah,
he reveals all the secrets.
Right. So that to me, like, did they? I would imagine they would have known. Is that like
Probably.
Okay? He's going to spill the beans, so. Why bother? So we're just gonna have have multiple fake keys.
I'm gonna have to guess that they didn't actually tell him which one was real in order to maintain.
Probably.
Otherwise, and I was like, all right, we got to get Robin first. The keys can wait till afterwards. Let's just forget these guys. But if you do that, we'll just toss them into the sea and you'll never get a chance. So Luffy, of course, immediately wants to go after him. It's like, no. Until we figure out what their next move is, let's go. We know that you need to be the one to take on Lucci. Go find Lucci.
Fair.
We'll take care of the others.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 6 of us against 5 of the CP9. So we'll get their keys and we'll lose. If Robin passes through the gates, it's all over. So losing a fight means losing time. Everyone win, even if it kills you. So they all they all break and head out. And it's finally time for the Straw Hats to get into the fight.
God. It's a long time coming.
Oh, yeah. And Luffy's, of course, trying to find out where it's all at. And we start getting our breakdowns of who's fighting who. So Frankie looks like he's going to be taking on Fukuro because he's looking for the pantry so we can get some cola to refill himself because he's feeling a little weak after all this. Yeah.
He's not
in great shape. I love this. Fukuro the Silent, lover of gossip. All the while, we got Sniper King going through door to door. Is like, no one's around here, which is fine by me. So they all fear me. And he's the one that comes across Jabra. And it's like, he's sleeping with the key. That's very lucky. And then Nami is the one that comes across. Oh God, I forget the new guy's names a lot, but
I forget this guy's name. Don't worry.
Crazy hair guy.
He's the
samurai.
Samurai. There's a Kabuki. Yeah, he's got like a Kabuki gimmick. Yeah, that's his sort of thing.
So it's Nami versus this guy, and oh boy, this matchup where Sanji heads into the room, and honestly, you can see this sort of like set up like some sort of cartoon. Is like he goes in, she shuts the door behind him. It's like, please stay a while. Would you like some tea? And that face.
Yeah.
From Sanji.
All right. So Sanji lost.
Yep. Oh, Sanji, you're in trouble. That's for sure. And I love this.
This is where the chapter ends. Got me so hyped. God damn.
I know. Kaku's just hanging out in the library. He's like, you've already drawn your sword. It wants to taste blood.
Zoro's here. Oh man.
I'm looking forward to these two fighting.
God, especially since Oda had already teased it because when Kaku was out checking out the Mary, and like Zoro was just like, oh, it's an intruder, and so they like had a little bit of a clash, right? If I'm remembering,
And
right?
they also fought during the assault on.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's true.
Iceberg's whole thing. So
they got a little weird little rivalry going on, but I guess it makes sense for their. I guess like Kaku's the closest thing to a swordsman on the CP9.
I guess so.
Yeah,
it's wild to think. Just how much it's like it's all action from this point.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all action.
I am
so strap in.
So
this is the good stuff.
I mean, I gotta say, I was both emotionally exhausted and hyped to high hell by the end of this set of chapters.
Yeah, this is one of those episodes. I feel like that just has it all. Like this is like One Piece bringing you down to like the worst emotional lows that you've ever seen in your life, and then it's just like Luffy's here and he's gonna make everything okay.
What a way to hit chapter 400.
Seriously, yeah. Oh man, I feel like we got really lucky with this set of chapters for the podcast because it's just like we're like next time we're just gonna get right into the fights. Like it's just like okay, here's like the next part of the arc. You know, it's a clean break almost.
Whew, absolutely. Oh man. Well, with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 396 to 400 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job, and that's pretty much it. You know.
Yeah.
Ready to see this arc play out.
Oh, yes. And of course, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 401 to 405 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
But now, if I'm allowed to say my wish just this once, then I want to live! Take me with you! Take me